What's up everyone, this is Dre here. Welcome back to another video, and in this video we're going to be installing an Exedy Racing Stage 1 clutch, an Exedy Lightweight Racing Flywheel on your Throwout Bearing, and a new pilot bearing on my 2006 Mustang GT. So I just finished up recording my last video where I unboxed all of these parts, so go check that out and see what's going to be going on to Thunder. It's dark out by the time I finish my last video, but my goal today is to at least drop the transmission. We'll see, because in this video we're going to be installing this new clutch, flywheel, throwout bearing, and the pilot bearing, and also the rear main seal. It's still not here, it's coming tomorrow, so that's why I just want to drop the transmission today, and tomorrow possibly put everything on after work. Let's get the car jacked up. I'll try to put some light out here, so let's get the car jacked up and start disassembling. Alright guys, so I got it all jacked up. Also put the jack under the subframe for safety. So I'll show you. I gotta buy some new jacks. These things are beat up. Look how it's benting. I gotta get some new jacks ASAP. These are so old, but I got the jack under there for safety. So let's get under there and take off the mid pipe. Alright, so first thing we're gonna do is unscrew the mid pipe. It's this exhaust right here. So there's 4 bolts here, and then there's 2 up there on each side. So let's get this mid pipe out. Alright, so I got the mid pipe off. It's quite a hassle to reach the bolts, but we got it off, right? So now let's move on to the next thing. Alright guys, so next thing we're gonna do is remove this drive shaft. And so what we need to unscrew is these bolts around there, and then these around here, and then these 2, and then the drive shaft will pop out. So I'll be back when I take this off. Alright guys, so I got the drive shaft out finally. It was a little tough because I couldn't spin the rear wheels because they're on the ground, so it was pretty tough to reach the tom bolts. So next we're gonna use the transmission jack, and we're gonna jack up the transmission and take off the transmission mount. There you go. Get the transmission mount off. Finally, I guess the next thing is taking off the starter, and then I guess we can drop the transmission. But it's kind of too late for that. I'll be back tomorrow. Alright guys, so this is the next day, and next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take off the starter. It's located right here. It's gonna be 3 bolts, this one, that one, and then there's one up the top, and then just disconnect these wires, and the starter should come off. So I'll be back when it's off. Alright guys, so we got the starter off. It was real easy, real quick, but what was not easy was taking this little clip off right here that holds this clutch line. So I spilled a lot of fluid all over me by the time I thought of something to plug it up. Alright, so next I guess we're unscrewing the whole transmission and dropping it. So I'll unscrew it and then I guess I'll record how I'm going to be lowering it down. So finally removed all the transmission bolts and now it's ready to come out. I just got this one holding it in place just for safety for now, but let's remove that bolt and remove the transmission. Alright guys, so as you see, we finally got the transmission down. That's the stock Throwout bearing. Stock clutch right there. So I'm gonna swap out the Throwout bearing right now, real quick. Alright guys, so here we got the old Throwout bearing, and here's the new one. And so on my car, when I would let go off the clutch, when it started, it would be making a noise, and I guess it was this Throwout bearing that's, I guess, is worn down. And this is a new one. It's much better. Alright, this is to bleed the Throwout bearing. Simply, all I got is just cut a plastic bottle in half. Got some brake fluid, .3 brake fluid, and some piece of hose. So all you do, just gonna put this hose on the Throwout bearing. Here, fill this plastic bottle with some brake fluid. And now I'm going to pump it. Bled. We just pump it a few times through the brake fluid, and now let's go install it. Alright guys, so next I guess I'm gonna take off the stock clutch. Alright, so we got the clutch off. Next we're going to take off the flywheel. And here's the stock clutch. We're going to go inspect it a bit more. Alright, so comparing both clutches here, this is a stock one. This is the Exedy Racing clutch. And if you look at these plates right here, this one is much thinner and this one's wider. And then this thing is done for. This thing has nothing left in it. It barely gripped, so this one should be much better. And also if you look at the pressure plates, these springs are much thicker than the stock ones. These are pretty thin. And then if we look on the back, you can see the burn marks, so that's not good. So this one should be much better. Can't wait to feel the difference it makes. There you go guys, we got the flywheel off. Oh wow, this is so heavy compared to the Exedy Racing one. Alright guys, so comparing both flywheels here, this is stock flywheel, this is the Exedy Racing flywheel. And so you see the difference right here. This has more holes for cooling. This thing's much lighter. And also this thing has burn marks on it also, so this one should be much better than stock. It's lighter, so less rotational mass, so it should be much better. Alright guys, so we are on the third day here, and now we're gonna be removing the stock pilot bearing. And I went to O'Reilly, went ahead and rented a pilot bearing puller. So So let's pull out this pilot bearing and install this new one. Bearing out, but the new one comes with this outer piece too, so gotta pull this one out also. So let's pull that out. Alright guys, now we're gonna put in the new throwout bearing, and I will be hitting it in like this, and let's hit it in with the hammer. Alright, so we got the new pilot bearing in there, and next thing we're gonna do is take off this dust shield, and then we're gonna take off this cover to swap out the rear main seal. Alright guys, so we're on day 4 here, but that's because this rear main seal was taking forever to come. But let's go take off the old one and install this new one. Alright, so we're gonna take off this dust shield, and then we're gonna take off these 6 bolts around here. I think there's 2 on the bottom down there. And then we're gonna pry it off. Alright, so we have the rear main seal assembly out. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take out the old rear main seal, and then we're gonna press in this new one. I think we might have to take this one out. Alright, so we got this cover all cleaned up using a one of these sponges with an abrasive side and some brake cleaner. So the next thing we're going to do is press in this new seal. So what we're going to do is just place it up there, and then use some kind of flat piece of metal, I guess, and just hit it on there with a hammer. Alright, so we finally have the rear main seal in there. It was kind of a pain to install. Hopefully I didn't damage it, but I think it's good. So next we're gonna put this is gasket maker. This is the oil resistant one. We're gonna put it all along here and on the bottom. Then we're gonna go ahead and install this thing. We're gonna clean up this area and then install the cover. Alright, so we hand tightened this all down. So now let's install this. It's like a dust shield, I think. Alright, so now we let the RTV dry for about an hour. Now we're gonna torque them down. These bolts are 89 inch-pounds, I'm pretty sure. And these two bottom oil pan bolts are 15 foot-pounds and then 60 degrees more. So let's get these all torqued down. Alright guys, next we're going to install this dust shield, and then after that we're going to do the flywheel. Alright guys, so I'm curious how much lighter the Exedy Lightweight Racing Flywheel is than the stock one. So let's put them on the scale and see how much lighter it is. Alright, so this is the stock flywheel, So we're right about 20 pounds. And now let's do the Exedy Racing Flywheel. We're around 14-15 pounds, so like 4 or 5 pounds, or like 5 or 6 pounds lighter than the stock one, so that's pretty nice. Now let's get this cleaned up, the oil off of here, and then install it. Alright guys, so next we're gonna put these pins in around the flywheel. There's 3 of them, so it'll be easier to put up the clutch later when the flywheel is already installed. Alright, now let's go ahead and install the flywheel. Alright guys, so the flywheel is on, torque is down to its spec. It's 64 foot-pounds of torque. And so now let's install this clutch and this pressure plate in the clutch. Alright guys, so the flywheel and the clutch are finally in. Now let's go do the throwout bearing. Alright guys, so I finally got the throwout bearing in, the clutch is in, and now we can start putting the transmission back on. Alright guys, so next thing we're going to do is clean this shaft right here. And then after, we're going to put some axle bearing grease on the shaft. Alright, so I got axle grease on here. Everything's good. And now we just want to align this spline right here so it would fit right into there. Just to make it easier installing the transmission back on. But we got that. Now let's start jacking up this transmission and bolt it in. Alright guys, so finally got the transmission back in. It was pretty hard, to be honest. To have my brother help me out, but we finally got it in. I got the mount back in, and tomorrow I guess I'll install the drive shaft, and then after that I'll do the long tube headers. Well, that's in the next video, so stay tuned for that. But I guess I'll be back, finish up tomorrow because it's already too late, but see y'all tomorrow. Alright guys, so this is the next day. Now I'm just gonna go ahead and install this drive shaft. It was a little bit hard doing it by myself, but it's in there. And basically the whole drivetrain is done. Now I'm just curious. Okay, it's really soft right now. Let's see, we're gonna pump it. Oh, there you go, it's getting a bit harder. I'll keep pumping it until it's ready. Now I'm going to change the fluid in the transmission. This is Valvoline Mercon V. It is automatic transmission fluid, that's what it takes. So let's go drain the old one and put this one in. This is probably the first turning fluid change on this car. Oh. Completely forgot to take off the fill plug, so make sure you take off the fill plug and then unscrew the drain plug. Oh yeah, kind of spilled training fluid everywhere, and this stuff is flammable, so got the fill plug here, and now we can Unscrew this. Oh, come on, there you go. That's fine. Alright, now I'm just gonna use this pump and fill up the transmission fluid. See this? Drain hole right there. You can't really see, but I'm just gonna be filling it until it kind of starts barely drizzling out of the fill hole. And we're good. Alright guys, so this is the next day here and I'm finally done with everything. The whole clutch and flywheel swap. Transmission's back in, the drive shaft is back in, everything's back in except the mid pipe and the starter. I haven't put that back in yet because next thing I'm doing is installing the long tube headers and the mid pipe and the shorty Cadillac pipe with the long tube headers. That's gonna be the next thing I'm doing right after I finish this video, so stay tuned for that video. It's gonna be next, but hopefully everything went well. The clutch is gonna work because this was like my first time swapping a clutch, but it feels great and the shifter feels much better than what it was before because I figured out one of the shifter linkages was bent. I bent it back in place and now it feels so much better, so much more notchier than what it was before. So much better. Before you'd have to force it in fifth, and same thing with reverse, but now it just goes in pretty easy. But man, it feels so good. I can't wait to drive it. Alright guys, so it's a different day and let's go for a drive and see how this new clutch feels like. Well, I already know how it feels like. I'm just gonna tell you guys how it feels like. I've driven the car already before. I already drove like 500 miles or so on it, and to break it in you have to drive 750 miles. So it's not brand new, but it's not broken in yet. So let's go for a quick drive and I'll tell you guys how it feels like. Alright, so because of the lighter flywheel you do have to kind of rev it up a bit more to start off. Overall it's not too bad. It's just the first time I drove it I kind of had to basically relearn how to drive manual again because of the new clutch and flywheel, and well, the clutch grips, I'll tell you that, clutch grips real good. Can't beat on the clutch at all until you pass 750 city street miles, I guess. I only drove 200, like 50, no, 550 miles on this new clutch, so. Oh, yeah, I scraped my exhaust on the speed bumps now. As the car's lowered, that's a different video though. I'm still not perfect at it. Still kind of get a little bit jumpy at the starts. But man, this clutch is so nice. It's only stage 1 clutch, but it grips like it's a stage 3 compared to, I actually don't know how a stage 3 feels like. But yeah. About this clutch, except that it grips so much better and shifts are much smoother, and you just got to relearn how to drive manual. But I guess that's all guys, so I hope you enjoyed the video.
stay tuned for the next videos. I got a lot more coming, guys, so stay tuned, subscribe and hit that bell. Stay tuned for the next video. I'm installing long tube headers. They're already installed, but I'm posting the video like next week after this video. So go ahead and subscribe and hit that bell. But alright guys, so hope you enjoyed the video. Stay tuned for more. Subscribe, like, comment, share. Y'all know what to do, and see you on the next one.